Hi, this is Jack from Alpha Charts with a kind of like a portfolio update, something I may be doing every so often, just kind of going over what I'm holding and where I got in, where I'm selling, and what I am looking at. Again, these are my personal holdings. Um, if you guys like this type of video, let me know, and I'll do more like this every so often. It's just something new that I'm trying. I think I'm also, something that I'm learning from this too about myself. So it's kind of good that I'm actually looking at this on the chart, something that Ray is really good at from Trader Lion, and so kind of learning from that. Before we get started, this video is only for educational purposes. These are not recommendations to buy, sell, or hold any stock or security. And I do hold all these positions at the time of this recording. Doesn't mean that you should go out and buy them, right? You have to make the trade your own if it fits your risk tolerance and time frame. Again, this is not recommendation to go out and buy any of these right now. Also, if you enjoy these videos, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And also, you can follow me on Twitter at AlphaCharts365. On Twitter, I'm posting there all the time too. But again, I do appreciate the likes and subscribes. Um, if you like these videos, let me know. All right, so first one is ALGM. I bought this on 1/8, which was on this candle right here. So I've been watching this. It hit my favorite scan, and it broke out with some good volume, pulled back on light volume. That's where I got involved, and now has subsequently moved higher since. We are intraday, by the way, on January 14th, 2021. It's about 3:30 right now. So market's gonna close. A weird looking candle today, a little indecision candle, but either way, bought here. It moved up, sold at 8%, at 31.91 on 113. So right in this candle yesterday, I sold for the first bit. And my second target will be at 20% at 35.46. So this is just a regular kind of, kind of a VCP a little bit, breakout, move higher, very standard look right there. I'll move me down here, so that would be better. All right, next up, I'm in apps. So apps, I got in here on 12/1. So 12/1 is this date right here, and so it was kind of breaking out again, high volume, lower volume pullback. I bought in. It continued to pull back, right? So I was watching the rising 23-day EMA to see what happens. It held like a champ. I sold my first piece on 12/15, which is this bar right here. This was, I don't remember, it's 5 or 8%. In between here, I switched from a 5% first sell to an 8% first sell. I'm currently selling my first chunk at 8%. I don't remember what this one was, probably 8%. Do the math for me, whatever. Doesn't matter. First sell was right here. Second sell was on the 17th, which is right here. Just move that down right there on the 17th. And I'm selling this, so I sold my last 1/3 at as my Let It Ride shares, and as you can see, it continued a little bit higher, right? And then it kind of came back and retraced. Broke the downtrend line right here, kind of this nice little flag right here. Came back into the 23-day, and now subsequently is at all-time highs. So it still looks great. Using now the 65-day as my Let It Ride share stop. And this looks fantastic. I have tons of room here. It's a small position at this point. I'm not too worried about it. Next up was BLDP. Now these were Let It Ride shares only. So BLDP was one of the stocks that Richard Moglen and I talked about in our 2021 outlook video, right? So it was one of my picks, and I wanted to have some skin in the game for things that I picked. So I bought it. Now at the time, I didn't have. I was buying, I think, 3 or 4 different things that I had mentioned, so I could only buy Let It Ride shares. It's all the money we had at the time. So that's what I did. So 12/30, which is this day right here. I bought it, um, you know, uh, good looking little breakout from this consolidation area. And then it kind of exploded higher. Again, they only let it ride shares, so there's no selling yet on it, but it's been a really, really good move. And this looks like it wants even higher, 21 to, 38. That's pretty good, right? We'll see what happens, but it looks really promising. That was BLDP. All right, CHWY. CHWY was another one that I actually bought on 12.9. And again, it's one of those situations where I wanted in. 12.9 was on this day right here. I felt like this pullback with the rising 23-day right near support. This was a really good risk reward right here. I had enough to purchase just 1/3 position. So I choose to make, if I do choose to go that route, they're all let it ride shares. So it has moved up, pulled back. Now it's moving up higher again. Everything looks great, and I plan on being this for as long as it'll allow me to. CHX, that is one that I bought today. So today's January 14th, and you can see how, I've kind of been watching this. It's hit my favorite scan now a few times, and I missed the breakout. My plan for this one was going to be to wait for the retest, right? Come on back down, retest. Now, what I noticed was that it wasn't coming back down. It was consolidating in a fairly tight range up here. And I also noticed it's only come even close to the 23-day EMA one time since since November 6th. So this is a really strong move to the upside. It had good accumulation volume. And so I don't know if this is going to give me that really good entry, and really strong stocks most of the time don't. So I bought in today at 1835. There is quite a bit of a room here, right? I think it was like 16% from where I bought it to the 23-day EMA. So there is some added risk in that. So I may so we'll see. But this may need some more time chopping to the sideways, or even flag down maybe just a little bit right into the 23-day. That would be possible, and that'd be even a better risk reward entry in my opinion. But it is what it is. So I'm in at 1835. I wanted in this name. I don't think it's FOMO as much. Well, it could be FOMO, but as much as I'm seeing the strength in the name, and that's my story. Anyway, my sell points, 8% will be at 19.82. It's already set up to go. And at 22.02, that's 20%. That's what I do. I sell 8% and 20%. Sometimes that works to my advantage. Sometimes it doesn't. But that's where it's at. CHX. Next up is Crowdstrike. So Crowdstrike I bought on 11/23, which was this bar right here. Kind of an early entry, but it was looking pretty good. All the moving averages were moving up, and so I bought at 147.68. I sold on 11/30, which is this bar right here, and that was probably a 5% move. Again, you could do the math for me if you want, if you're that interested. But sold right here, and so one of the things about why do I sell at 5 or 8% now is because if it fails, you know what? It's probably at best a break-even trade, and I haven't really lost much except for some time. Well, it didn't fail. It then gapped up over here and kept going. So I sold another piece of it on the 8th, which is right here. That was 20%. And here's one where it just kept running up. Okay, so I did my sells and it kept running up, and I still hold a position. I have let it ride shares. Everything is trending beautifully in this one. Yeah, I'm going to continue to hold this for as long as it will let me. All right, so EXAS. So EXAS was bought on 11/20 right here. And so I saw a huge accumulation going on in this name, and I really like that. And then it kind of came back into the 23-day EMA and it made a higher low, right? Actually, back here, it didn't make a higher low yet. It was right here. So it got into the gap. And I bought in here, and I honestly couldn't tell you today what I saw in here that I really loved, but there was obviously something I really loved here. That maybe I was, thinking about that it was going to fill the gap. It didn't quite even get the whole gap filled, and then it kind of reversed back up. I'm not sure, but I did buy in here. I sold on 12/1, which was this day right here, and then I sold again on 12/21, which was this day right here. Now here's the 20%. See at 20% right here, it then pulled back all the way to the 65. Now, because these were now let it ride shares, my last 1/3, I let it go. And boom, it popped right back up, broke out, and now is making a flag, almost making another good entry point for this particular stock with decent risk reward here. Something to think about, but right now I still own shares of this. It's still trending higher. Everything's looking good. Lemonade. So Lemonade was bought on 1/7, which was this day. I'm sorry, this day right here. So I bought the breakout. So I was identifying this as a potential high type flag, and watching for the breakout. It broke out. I bought at 125-ish, which is a pretty good spot actually. Bought right in there. The thing just took off. It was up 23% that day. So huge move that day. Now, when I see a huge move like that, it didn't even give me a chance to put my stops in and move so fast. I mean, not my stops, my targets in. And so I didn't put any in. And this was a little bit different. And I think this is how I'm going to play high type flags is I'm going to let it go for 2-3 days, which is what I did here. On the fourth day, it kind of reversed and didn't look that great. So I sold a third there. So that was much higher percentage, obviously, than my normal 8%. But I think this was a much more powerful pattern that I was looking at. So that was my reasoning behind that. Next stop. So I'm not sure where I'm going to. I can't say I'm not sure. A high type flag. I would like to see another 100% move. Right. That's how powerful that type of pattern is. And again, if you don't know what a high type flag is, head on over to Trader Lion. They have a great YouTube video, very short. It's like 5 minutes, and explains what a high type flag is. And I'll probably link it down below because it's really that good. It's short, it's to the point, and it's great. So I have to remember to do that. Anyway, 100%. That's what I would like to see out of this, and I'd like to be as involved as possible in this name. So I'm going to use 150, which is the low on here, right? So low is 154, going just underneath that 150. That's where, if it gets below there, that would have been 20% from my entry, and that kind of makes sense to put a stop, and then the rest will be let it ride, and we'll see what happens. So I will still hit a second 20% target at worst case scenario. And if this just creates some kind of weird flag, not weird flag, flag right here, then I think that, I still have a pretty good position going higher. Special circumstance, rules need to be flexible, right? And that's what I'm trying to do here. MP. So MP was bought on 12/7, which is on this day right here. Big gap up, good volume. I mean, that's a viable bar in my opinion. 25.87. So yeah, not the best spot, but it's not terrible either. And then I sold on 12/8, which was right here the next day. Sorry, next day, right? So a third right here, gapped up. Love this sell because let's say this reversed, which it did, and continued going down. Well, then I'll have my stop out, and I didn't get hurt too bad, and I only had 2/3 of position, and I already sold 1/3 for a 5 or 8% profit. This was probably 8% profit. But if this just consolidated and then it gapped up again. So on 12/17, I sold another third at 31.57. So someplace in here. And now I have let it ride shares. And so as you can see, this continued a little bit higher. came back down. This seems to be a potential area of support. All the moving averages are kind of moving higher with it. So I think this is one of the big winners for the year. It was also, we talked about it in our video, me and Richard, but this looks like a phenomenal chart right now. So really like this one. That's MP. Next up, net. So Cloudflare was bought on 1120, which is this bar right here. I mean, it kind of consolidated, then really strong move on great volume, consolidated. So I wanted to buy it on the way up, and I will sneak in and do these kind of, early buys. I didn't know that, this was gonna, this may be support or resistance right here beforehand. So I bought it on the way up here at 67.25. Sold it on 11.27, which is on this breakout right here. Beautiful. It came back to retest the breakout, continued higher, sold another piece on the 7th, which is this bar right here. And now it's just been consolidating, moving sideways, which is great. I mean, this volume profile that this is showing is spectacular. I mean, it looks phenomenal. So what can I expect here? I wouldn't be surprised if you see this come up to here, pull back, make a little tiny inverse head and shoulder, and then move much higher. That would be very possible. Again, I still hold Let It Ride shares, and I think this one still has a lot left in it. One Life Health. All right, so One Life Health, newer name. That's the whole chart right here. And so I've been watching this, kind of came this way, made this little cup, and now we are above this area and kind of pulling back into it. I bought it on 1230, which was right there. I bought on this bar right here, and this was a Let It Ride share only because, again, this was one of the ones in that video, and so I had to buy 2 or 3 stocks real quick, so I gave them 1/3 positions each. This is still, I'm still holding it. It's doing nothing wrong at this point except retesting its breakout. All the moving averages are still moving higher, and I'll be using the 65-day as my stop. Next up will be PENN Gaming. So I bought this one on 1215, and this was this bar right here. So it broke out, right? Kind of came back, retested, held very nicely. I actually bought it right in the middle of the bar, and it moved up on 1216. So literally the next day, right? I bought it on the 15th. The 16th had a nice move up, and I was able to sell 8% profit right there. Then on 1223, this bar right here, I sold at 20%. So then it kind of retraced. No big deal. Now I've Let It Ride shares. Everything is moving fine. It came back into the moving averages, held perfectly, and now is moving to all-time highs again. So Let It Ride shares. I love that the 65-day and 23-day are just screaming higher. Everything looks good. Next up is Pinterest. So Pinterest is a recent buy for me. And so I bought it on 112, which is this bar right here. It was a nice breakout. Volume wasn't very good, but it wasn't terrible either. So I bought over here, 73.85. So if you see, I bought it, in this area, whatever. And, it hasn't really done much since. It's just retesting right here. I'm not too worried about it at this point. There's my 23-day EMA right below it. Hopefully this holds. If it doesn't and it closes below it, I'll just get out. Where are my targets at? It's at 79.76 and then 88.62. If we hit those two, then I'll switch to the 65-day and it becomes Let It Ride. PSNL. So this is a great example. 12.3 was my buy, which was this bar right here. And I liked how it held the 23-day EMA. That was something that I really did like. So I bought in here. I also had a kind of a VCP-ish type pattern here. I sold my first one on this bar and my second one. So it's kind of interesting. This was such a powerful bar. It was the 13.5%. So it actually hit both the 8% and the 20% on the same bar, same day. So sold out there. Now I'm on Let It Ride. And this is why we do Let It Ride, because, and move to the 65-day EMA, because it kept going higher. Okay, great. But then it pulled all the way back. And this was not fun to sit through, let me tell you. But I knew where my stop was. This was my plan right here. It came back, kind of retested the breakout. Boom, the 65-day EMA was right there. It didn't even, touch it. And now it's bounced higher. And now we're right near all-time highs again. So that's kind of why I switched to 65-day on the Let It Ride shares. And this is exactly the way it's supposed to work, right? That's why I made that up. Why I use that, I should say. All right, next up, Peloton. So I bought it on 11:30, and I bought it well, and it was a good move on the day. And luckily, this was a day trade, the first third. It sold on the same day. Great. That's I love to see that. It continued higher, and I sold the second half on 12:16, which is this right here. Good spot. I didn't know if this was going to get rejected here to overhead supply, have to form a handle or totally reverse. So it was great that this sold the second half. None of that happened. It's creating a high handle for this cup and handle, and looks like it wants higher, right? I mean, look at this volume. It's another beauty. I mean, it just shows accumulation everywhere in here. It doesn't show anybody wants to sell this name. So that looks pretty good. Now the 65-day EMA is going to be my my new stop, and yeah, and we'll see where it goes from there. But this is a good one. Peloton. Next up is PayPal. And this one hasn't worked out quite as good for me. So I bought PayPal on 12/1, which is this day right here on the breakout. It kind of failed, but the 23-day held and hard bounce off of it. Love to see that. Sold it on 12/17, which was this day right here. So that was pretty good. And now it kind of came back again, hit the 23-day, but bounced higher. So my next target is going to be 260.40. That'll be for my 20% gain. And then I'll switch to my Let It Ride, which is the 65. So right now, the rising 23-day EMA is still my 2 closes below is still my stop for this particular one. And why I say this one hasn't been great is because I've been in it for 6 weeks now. Usually by 6 weeks, I want to be in Let It Ride shares. So it's getting a little bit long in the tooth. We'll watch it. We'll see. Eventually, something's going to happen. Either it's going to make a little cup and handle and do another upward thrust, or it's going to roll over and I'll be out. Roku. Bought Roku on 11/20 on this day right here. Nice, powerful day. You see how it kind of broke out from this little shallow cup. Looks really good. So I bought it on 11/20, sold it 11/23 right here. Sold it again on 12/9, which is right over here, right? Kind of reverse back, but whatever. Now I switched to 23-day EMA, and the thing has just continued higher and looks phenomenal. So that's Roku. Skills. So I heard about this one when it was Feek, Feac. It was actually a conversation with Jay from TrendSpider with Puru from Twitter, and he had mentioned this, and it's a gambling / gaming type site where they could bet on video games. Anyway, so I got involved on 12/30 because I'm like, that would just make sense, right? Gaming and gambling. So 12/30 was here, right? So I bought it right in here, and again, it kind of had this powerful move. The volume profile isn't my favorite, but it's okay. Came back into 23-day, held. This was only let it ride shares. Again, like I said, there's only so much money to go around. So only have let it ride shares. Plus, this was a very loose looking chart. So I'm okay with only using let it ride shares for looser charts like this, using the 65-day as my guide. It's done well so far, so I'm pretty happy with it. Um, and uh, and that's that. That was skills. Next up is Snap. So Snap bought on 1120, which was this bar right here. And I'll be honest with you, I couldn't remember why I bought on this bar. I do like how this volume, the volume looks great, right? So I wanted to be involved, but on 1120. And then I sold some 1123, which was this trying to be a breakout at 46 something, 4602. And then it kind of flagged out just a little bit here. I sold another third at 5260 on 1110. And now it's kind of gone sideways. The last 2 days have been kind of ugly. It's down almost 8% today. I'm not worried about it. This is the breakout that I'm watching. Plus, there's my 65-day EMA. They're going to be kind of joining up. And if it falls back below there, I'll just sell those shares and move on. No big deal. I already got some money out of this, and even there, I bought at 43, so I'll make a little bit on that back end. Very little here, but made some money there. Next one is Upwork. This is one, if you saw me post on Twitter, I like this one back when I bought it on 11.8 in that morning. The volume weighted average price from this gigantic gap held and held again. And so I bought it on the 8th. So I saw that it held there, 6, 7, and this is the 8th. I bought it right here, back above the 23-day EMA. Looks good. I sold the first third on the 12th, right? And then what's cool is on the 13th, it gapped up. My order was already in there, and it sold, and I got sold the second third. So now when Let It Ride shares, back down here is going to be where my stop is. And as you can see, my stop now is below my entry price. I'm willing to take that to do that. That's okay with me. This may consolidate a little bit longer, whatever it may do. I made my money up here. I'm in this for bigger gains. This is my way of mitigating loss. But yeah, I want to see this trend higher. I think this name can do that. We'll see what happens with it. And those are my positions. Let me see how many do I hold right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I hold 20 positions right now. That's actually a little bit more than I normally do, but because so many are let it ride shares, I don't have to manage them quite as closely, and I can hold that many positions. Very few of them actually aren't right now. So that's what we got for you today. Again, these are my positions. Many of them are extended and are not at proper buy points. You have to make that decision for yourself and for your own portfolio. If you like this type of video, let me know. Please leave it in the comments. I'll go ahead and link that Trader Lion high tight flag video down there and Puru Saxena. I'll see if I can find that one that he did with Jay at TrendSpider. I'll link that also down there. Those were 2 really good videos, and hope you all enjoyed this. Have a great day.